Hello everyone. Today we'll talk about Amazon Athena. This is going to be an introductory tutorial for beginners who doesn't know anything about Amazon Athena. So let's get started. So Athena is an ANSI standard query or interactive query service that works with big data stored in Amazon Simple Storage Service. Typically use case supported by Amazon Athena are data science, machine learning, visualization, ETL and reporting. Since AWS Athena is serverless, this means no infrastructure to manage and you can tap into scalable storage on S3. This also means you only pay for the queries you run, which benefits someone like data analyst who wants to minimize Amazon Athena cost. Amazon Athena is a serverless interactive analytics service built on open source framework supporting open table and file formats. Athena provides a simplified, flexible way to analyze petabytes of data where it lives. Analyze data, build application from Amazon Simple Storage Service data like N25 plus data source, including on-premise data sources or other cloud systems using SQL or Python. Athena is built on open source Trainio and Presto Engine and Apache Spark framework with no provisioning or configuration effort required. AWS Athena is a serverless interactive analysis service offered by Amazon that can be readily used to gain insights on data resiliency under the hood. Athena used a distributed SQL engine called Presto, which is used to run the SQL queries. Presto is based on the popular open source technology Hive to store structured, semi-structured, and unstructured data. In this diagram, you can see that we have a data source from where we upload the data into S3. It can be data can be from multiple sources, can be stored on S3. We can use Amazon EMR to transform and cleanse the data, and we can do the ad hoc access or query on this S3 bucket using Amazon Athena. We don't need to write any single code. You can directly query from S3 bucket. Amazon Athena can query aggressively databases as well, and using this you can use it to analyze and visualize data with Amazon QuickSight. So S3 load formatted and cleans data into S3, and after that Redshift loads into parallel, optimizing it for fast analytics queries. So Athena is mainly for querying something from S3 bucket. So if you have some CSV file, for example, stored in S3 bucket, you can use Amazon Athena to query it. You don't need to write even a single line of code to query from those CSV files stored in S3 bucket. Amazon Athena is a serverless data query tool, which means it is scalable and cost effective at the same time. Usually customers are very conscious about the cost that they have to pay. So it is pay per query basis, which is translated to the number of queries that are executed on a given time period. The normal charge for scanning 1 TB of data from S3 is just 5 USD. So you can see here total number of queries, and based on that per day and number of data that will be scanned, the cost is calculated. So total number of queries 10 per day into 730 hours per month and 24 hours in a day, it is equal to 304 queries per month, and data amount that will be scanned will be in 0.9765 to 5 terabytes, and it will cost you per month $148. In this diagram you can see we have multiple data sources. We have operational database, data warehouse, big data, ERP, queries that data from data lakes, warehouses, transactional system, big data frameworks, and more running on premise in the cloud. So Amazon Athena can be used to query from all these different data sources. Amazon Athena is a serverless, highly scalable, and streamlined analytics service for all your data. The output of it can be the input from ML tools, integrate ML tool to forecast revenue, predicts customer churn, and more. And it can be used later on for BI analytics application as well. So working with Athena, it can quickly analyze data with the help of Amazon S3 using a standard SQL. It even does not need to load the data in Athena. All we require is to do is to point to the data in Amazon S3, define the particular schema, and start querying using the standard SQL. With the help of Amazon Athena, we can process any of data, whether it is structured, semi-structured, or unstructured data. It can handle the data in CSV and arrays and objects. Amazon Athena provides a simple UI. Getting started with the Athena is much more comfortable. All you need to do is to create the database, select the table name, and specify the location of the data on Amazon S3. So how Athena works on AWS. Amazon Athena works in direct association with S3 data. It is distributed SQL engine for running the queries, and it also uses Apache Hive for creating and altering tables and partitions. Some of the important standpoint need to working with Athena includes: you must have AWS account. You should enable your account to export the cost and use data into the S3 bucket. You can prepare buckets for Athena to connect. AWS also creates manifest files with the use of metadata each time it writes to the bucket. In fact, it creates a folder within the technology AWS billing data bucket down as Athena that contains only the data. For simplifying the setup, a region called US West 2 region can also be used. The last and final step is to downloading the credentials for new user because of the credential help in indirectly mapping to the database credentials. So what are the benefits of Athena? So Amazon Athena makes it easier to run the interactive queries against the data exchange by directly uploading them in S3, and we don't need to worry about managing the infrastructure and building the data. Athena is best suited when we need to run the queries against some weblog for troubleshooting the issues in the site. It is based on SQL. You can use Athena to run SQL queries against the desired table that is configured in the glue data catalog or data structure that you can connect to using the Athena Query Federation SDK. For users who already know SQL, there is no learning curve to get started. So it is open architecture, no vendor lock-in. Athena enables you open access to data rather than lock-in to a specific tool or technology. This manifests itself in various ways. Ubiquitous access, because your data is stored in S3 bucket and the schema is defined in the glue data catalog, you can switch between query engines that can read from these sources without redefining the schema or creating a separate copy of the data. So what are the different benefits? So Athena is best suited when we need to run the queries against some weblog for troubleshooting the issues in the site. So it helps you to separate data storage and computing resources. Athena has a complete separation of computing and memory resources. Data is stored in Amazon S3 account, while Amazon Web Service provides Athena computation as a shared resource among all the Athena users. It open file formats. Unlike many high-performance databases, Athena does not use a proprietary file format, but supports standard open source formats such as Apache, Paraquet, ORC, CSV, and JSON. Low cost. Athena's pricing model is based on terabytes of scanned data. You can control and keep cost down by clicking on only the data you need to answer a specific query. That can be done using data splitting. See below. Accessing to all your data. Most organizations process only 30 to 35% of their data into a traditional data warehouse due to the higher operational and infrastructure cost of constantly resizing database cluster. So what is the speed and performance of Athena? And as Amazon Athena is serverless, which makes it quicker and easier to execute the queries on Amazon S3 without taking care of the servers and the cluster to set or manage. Another thing is the initialization time. In Athena, we can straight away query the data on Amazon S3, but in Redshift, we have to wait for the cluster to get active, and once the cluster is activated, only then we are allowed to query the data. So you can see here we have data sources, file, and then drop store or any other sources from where S3 gets the data. We can use Amazon Athena to ad hoc access and query on the Amazon S3 bucket that can be later used by the EMR or Redshift. The optimization is limited to queries. You can optimize your questions, not your data. However, your data is already stored in Amazon S3. Performing transformation used to Athena may affect other users using exact transformation for that purpose. Multi-tenancy means pooled resource. All the Athena users receive a similar SLA for queries at any time. In other words, the entire global user base is competing for the same resource, and although AWS provides mode as needed, this cloud means that query performance fluctuates depending on the other people's uses. No indexing. Indexes are integrated into traditional database but do not exist in Athena. This makes joining large tables as a demanding operation that increases the load on Athena and negatively impacts performance. For example, running a query by key requires scanning all the data and searching for the desired key in the result list. This is solved using Absolver lookup tables. Partitioning. Efficient querying in Athena requires partitioning of the data. Maintaining the number of partitions in the park that meets your performance needs is essential. Every 500 divisions scanned will add 1 second to your query. So user issued query joining data from open search index and AWS glue table and gets the result back. So Amazon Athena can get the data from one source which is S3 bucket. Then Amazon Athena can invoke the AWS Lambda function as well. So a complete query and insight analytics can be done with the help of Athena. So which are the different data types Amazon Athena supports? So it supports Boolean, tiny int, small int, columnar, varchar, char, big int, workgroup, configuration updates, unnecessary named query ID, etc. Amazon Athena can process numerous structured and unstructured data types. It also supports data formats such as CSV, JSON, ORC, optimized row column, Apache Parquet, and Apache Avro. Athena also supports compressed data in snippet such as glib, Jadalo, Valjado, Lempel, Jid, Overhammer, and gzip formats as well. So what are the different features that we talked till now? First is serverless. Athena is a serverless, so that end user does not have to worry about configuration, infrastructure, scaling, or failure. Athena takes care of it all easily. Pay per query. Athena charges you just for the query you run, which is the amount of data that gets managed per query. You can actually save a lot if you compress the data and format it accordingly. It is secure using the IAM policies and AWS Identity. Amazon Athena offers complete control over the dataset. With the data being stored in S3 bucket, the IAM policies can help in managing control to users. It is available. Amazon Athena is highly available, and users can execute queries around the clock. Machine learning. It helps in machine learning. The developers can use Amazon SageMaker for creating and deploying the machine learning models in Amazon Athena. Now, what are the limitations of Amazon Athena? So, first limitation is optimization is limited to queries. For example, data already stored in S3 can be optimized. Data already stored in S3 cannot be optimized. No indexing options. Indexing options commonly appear in traditional databases. Without indexing, the operational load on Athena increases, potentially affecting performance. Next is efficient querying requires partitioning. In order to enable efficient queries, data must first be partitioned. Partition must then be managed for what best fits performance needs. Next is stored procedure. Parameterized queries and Presto federated connectors are not supported. Amazon Athena federated query is needed to connect data sources. Next is when querying a table with thousands of partitions, Athena can timeout. Sources file can that start with underscore or a dot are treated as hidden. The row and column size cannot exceed 32 megabytes, and Athena does not support querying data in S3 Glacier and S3 Glacier Deep Archive storage classes. So in summary, we can say Athena is a service offered by Amazon that is interactive queries service. Athena makes it easier for user to directly analyze data in Amazon S3 using a standard SQL. For example, in the Amazon Management Console, it can be set to point to where data is stored in Amazon S3. With few clicks of a button, SQL can then be used to run ad hoc queries, bringing the result to user in seconds. Amazon Athena does not store data. Instead, storage is managed entirely by the Amazon S3. The Athena query service is fully managed, so resources are automatically allocated by AWS as need to execute a query. Because your data is stored in S3 bucket and the schema is defined in the Glue data catalog, you can switch between querying engines that can read from these sources without redefining the schema or creating a separate copy of the data. As one of the best serverless architecture, Amazon Athena makes data queries easy to use, set up, and run and fast to run. In fact, the pay-per-use model of Athena makes the entire thing affordable to run analytics. Moreover, since Athena works with Amazon S3 and comes with greater scalability, reliability, and durability, this is one of the best suited to run analytics workloads. So thank you so much for watching today's video, and if you think the videos are helpful, do like the video and subscribe to the channel.